Folks, welcome into That Betting Show for May 13th, 2019, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. A big weekend to go over, but before we do that, let's introduce Teddy Savransky. Once again, at Teddy_covers on Twitter. And I'm Donnie Seymour, right side VP. Big day today on That Betting Show. Let's get right to it, Teddy. In the city of Philadelphia, the bounce heard around the world. We're checking in to the Heartbreak Hotel. But if you did have a ticket on those Sixers, you can at least go to the window, Teddy, and get a little bit of green. On Mother's Day, devastation. But hey, Toronto was the better team for most of the series. Joel Embiid couldn't get it together. And in the biggest moments, Teddy, of this game, the Sixers went 3 straight possessions without getting a shot off. Can't happen, Teddy.
Agree with all of that. All that being said, if you had Philly plus the points, the way that game ended could have been better. All right. You don't want overtime. Your dog's cashing wire to wire. Yeah, let that shot fall in 3 times. Now, for fans, for moneyline bettors, different story. But for Philly plus the points, you're like, no overtime, please. Oh, he made it. And it's not one bounce. That's 4 doinks. It's not a double doink. It's a doink, 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 doink. That's a shot that they will be replaying in the NBA forever. It's one of those highlights that's going to be there. And with it, all the stuff that led up to that shot is going to get forgotten. Like you talked about Philly's dead possessions. What about Jimmy Butler taking the ball and hitting over Ibaka to tie the game with 4.2 seconds left or whatever it was? Kawhi's missed free throw, forgotten. The Raptors sphincter tightening, as Charles Barkley called it yesterday, throughout the course of the, Toronto, except for Kawhi. They were a little bit tight yesterday. All that gets forgotten. Lo and behold, Sixers get the money. Raptors get the money for this series. Truly an exciting Game 7.
Yeah, home court advantage, that's exactly where you see it. The Sixers had a chance in Game 4 to put the cement on Toronto and weren't able to do it, therefore going to a Game 7. Usually, Teddy, you don't get that much excitement out of a Game 7 that's going to be a slugfest like that, but came right down to the end, and you're right. You really couldn't have drawn up a play and had it any better than what you had defense on Kawhi Leonard with 4.2 seconds left to go. They inbound the ball. He dribbles it out for a long shot. And to be honest with you, Teddy, when I saw the shot trajectory go up, I've really figured it was an air ball. Even though it hit the rim the first time, just going to harmlessly fall away. I was actually shocked that ball went through the hoop. But what can you say more about Kawhi Leonard, Teddy? When you go after and you get a superstar, superstars are meant for the biggest moments. They scored 92 points, Teddy, 41 from Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, and look, Kawhi took a lot of shots. His efficiency wasn't what we normally see from Kawhi Leonard, but game on the line, A, hit the game winner. B, he was the only guy on Toronto who was comfortable in his offense yesterday. The team as a whole, again, go back to Barkley. That sphincter was really tight. It wasn't for Kawhi, and it made obviously all the difference. Now, when that shot goes, Embiid's guarding him like an inch from the three-point line. It's a terrible look. But it dropped. And again, if you're a Philly fan, one more reason why you never want to be a fan, because you're devastated today. If you're a Philly bettor, hey, it's all smiles, man. Sixers covered the number.
Absolutely. We'll see what happens and takes place in the next series. Big offseason. We'll see if one of these wins, Teddy's enough to propel Kawhi to stay in Toronto. I still think he's probably headed out west. And what do the Sixers do, A, with Brett Brown and with that lineup? There's some, Tobias Harris is a free agent, Jimmy Butler, so a lot to go over there. But there was another Game 7. And if you were sitting there saying, you know what? Good for me on taking the home team in Game 7. As Teddy and I talked about it last week, a ridiculous 80% winners straight up on the home teams. 17-point lead. The Blazers erase that and move on to the next series versus the Golden State Warriors. C.J. McCollum, 37 points, Teddy, with the dagger with 12 seconds left to go.
He single-handedly won the game. McCollum was unbelievable. You talk about the dagger. That wasn't the only shot he hit. He hit shots all game long for the left elbow. It was ridiculous. And obviously, we're not expecting Portland to win straight up on the road in Game 7 in a game where Damian Lillard goes 3 for 17 from the floor. That's not going to happen, which speaks volumes, A, about the Blazers' defense, B, about Denver's sphincter tightening a little bit, and C, about the type of game that McCollum played yesterday, where he took the team on his shoulders and carried them to victory. That's impressive. As for Denver, look, heck of a postseason run. This is a Nuggets team that had 0 playoff experience. Now they've got some, and the future is bright for Denver. But Portland Stars shined a little bit brighter in Game 7 this time around. Of course, the Blazers won't have it easy. Short turnaround time before they head to Golden State for Game 1. We'll talk about those series prices later in the show when we come to the Off the Mic segment.
Great segue right there, Teddy. True professional right there move. Let's get to Major League Baseball real quick here. Ryu silences the Nats bats on Sunday. But then again, Teddy, I think me and you might be able to take them out and get a good shot at silencing those Nats bats. 3 out of the last 6 games, the Nationals have not scored a run. Ryu gets a no-no going into the 8th inning on Mother's Day with his mom in the crowd. Corey Seager's grand slam in the bottom of the 8th inning puts the game away. Look, it's not to say that they're shutting it down, the Washington. I mean, look, Corbin's been good. Strasburg's been good. Matt Scherzer's been good. But the results aren't there. Just because you have a good pitching performance, Teddy, you got to get the guy some runs in there. You had a Dodgers ticket in your back pocket. Didn't even have to sweat that one.
Well, look, I mean, the Nationals lineup has been riddled with injuries, flat out. You know, half their opening day starters are out and have been out for some time. The lineup eventually you think is going to come around. But while it's ice cold and while the team is ice cold, there's money to be made against them. Look, I laid 128 with the Dodgers. Dodgers are elite, you know, and they took a little bit of money after that, but there were prices all around less than minus 130 yesterday to support the Dodgers against Strasburg. And look, the Nats aren't winning for Scherzer. Another sub 500 for Strasburg too. And when you have a team with aces that stinks in every other department, like the Nats do, where they can't hit and the bullpen's god awful, boy, those are teams I love to fade. There's been good money to bet against Washington. And frankly, till they get healthy, I don't see that changing. The markets are going to continue to price the Strasburgs and the Scherzers like chalk or short dogs wherever they play. The rest of the team around them isn't very good right now.
Yeah, Soto finally comes back, Teddy, on Saturday. You got Rendon back in the lineup. It'll take him a little bit to assimilate back in, and also still waiting for your speedster shortstop, Trey Turner, at the top of the lineup. We'll keep an eye on those Washington Nationals. But you're right. Even the game with Max Scherzer the night before, they were down 2-0 before like a grand slam. I believe it was in the 7th inning that was able to propel the Nationals to a victory. So they're not getting very much help there, and we'll see how it goes through. NFL football time. The Detroit Lions 2019. Yes, bear with us here. We get to the better football teams as we move along. But how about those Lions, Teddy? Looking to take a ticket on them this year? 125-1 to win the 2019 championship. 50-1 to win the NFC. And the Lions team total now sitting at 6. A lot of juice on there. Sometimes you could shop around there at SBRodds.com. There are some 6.5s out there. But the Lions finished in 4th place in the NFC North in 2018, posting a 6-10 record. To me, Teddy, they're looking for another 4th place finish this year. Ziggy Ansah leaves in free agency. They had Hockenson in the first round at tight end. Galladay Jones and Amendola getting the share of the targets from Matthew Stafford. The Detroit Lions this year, Teddy, I'm not that excited.
No, and when you look at the rest of the division, you understand why the Lions are being priced as a last place team. It's not even close. You know, Packers on paper, good. Vikings on paper, good. Bears, I have some issues with the Bears schedule, but on paper, they're a much better team than Detroit. So when you grade out this division, for the Lions to get out of last place, someone else is going to get hurt. You know, someone's got to have an injury-riddled season. Detroit has to overachieve, something they didn't do in Matt Patricia's first season at the helm last year, and something that very few teams coached by ex-Patriots assistants have ever done throughout the Bill Belichick era. Of course, the Patriots assistants keep getting hired as head coaches. They keep crashing and burning as head coaches. It's Belichick. It's not Patricia. But when you look at the statistical standpoint, last year for the Lions, minus 0.6 yards per snap. You know, between what they allowed on offense and what they gained on offense and what they allowed on defense. Not good. Minus 0.3 yards per rush. Of course, Kerryon Johnson was hurt for much of the season, but the run defense wasn't great. They didn't run the football very well. QB rating, Stafford had a 90. Matt Castle had a 23, so the team's was only 88.5. But Stafford at 90. Opposing teams at a 102.7 QB rating against the Lions. Only the Bucs and the Niners are worse. Yeah, Patricia's a defensive genius. -5 in turnovers a year ago. And they had a slightly easier than average schedule last year. This year, slightly tougher. It's nothing big to talk about, but worth mentioning. Their schedule this year on paper, based on this year's season win totals, is a little bit tougher than a year ago. There's a new offensive coordinator in Detroit. No more Jim Bob Cooter to make fun of. Now he's the Jets running backs coach. Darrell Bevell, who took the Seahawks to multiple Super Bowls, is the OC now for Detroit. Of course, Bevell's been a run-first guy. He's an interesting mix. I'll just leave it at that, and we'll see how it plays out. From a free agency standpoint, Detroit was big spenders. You know, you bring in Trey Flowers and Justin Coleman, pass rusher and a quarterback. You bring in Jesse James and Danny Amendola, a couple guys who should help the passing game. You look at the draft, first couple of picks, Hockenstein, another tight end, Tavai, who is a tackling machine at Hawaii, Will Harris, I think solid as safety in the 3rd round, Austin Bryant, from Clemson in the 4th round. They added some talent to this defense. They added some talent to this offense. But we grade out Detroit start to finish. They're still the weakest team in the division. And frankly, it's not all that close.
No, it should be interesting, and also having a little bit of off-season issues there, which says the one thing about how strong a football player and team-oriented guy Matthew Stafford is. As you see some of the social media posts there, his wife going through some issues, brain surgery, tumors there, getting it back, and showing up still at the facility to put that work in. We'll see how that wears on Matthew Stafford in the offseason. The one thing we do know him as a gamer, but it seems like he just can't get enough talent around him, especially in that division. And you're right, Teddy. It's not so much about the Detroit Lions as a team overall. It's who you're going to be playing in that division going up. But hey, at least at 12 o'clock Eastern time or 12:30 Eastern time every Thanksgiving, we could probably watch those Lions take another loss, and we'll keep it moving with that. Overnight line movers, Teddy, SBRodds.com, the single best place on the internet to get all of these line changes. It's a Monday slate, and I got to say, Teddy, you're lucky to live in Las Vegas. I'm sitting here in the Northeast. It's 48 degrees and rainy in mid-May. We're going to take a look at the Yankees right here return, and the line is climbing. Yankees open up a minus 190, now sitting north of minus 200. Orioles versus Yankees, right about minus 235, minus 220, depending on where you're shopping, at a total of 8.5. Hess and Loai Seagull on the mound tonight.
Yeah, and look, I mean, the betting markets want no part of Baltimore. And we've seen the money coming against the Orioles pretty much every game right now. David Hess, his last start against the Yankees, gave up 3 home runs in 5 innings. They lost 15-3 in that ballgame. And, oh, by the way, Yankees starting to get some of the bodies back. Aaron Hicks back in the lineup. He's going to make his season debut this evening. Talking about a guy who signed a $70 million contract extension in February. Set career highs with 27 homers, 79 RBIs last night. Certainly, you can see that his return to the lineup has the potential to impact the Yankees in a positive way. No surprise, there's money for New York.
How about yesterday, Teddy? Just real quick, down in the Trop yesterday. It looks like if you were sitting on an under ticket, you were feeling really good by the time you hit that 9th inning. The power goes out. And how many times have you seen it before? Especially like, Teddy, when you talk about maybe a college football team or a pro football team heading into halftime with the momentum. You wish the halftime never came. The lights went out, Teddy, and so did your under tickets out there as the Yankees tack on a few more in the top of the 9th. Ever have some bad luck like that, Teddy, where the lights go out a la the Super Bowl a couple years ago?
Oh, it's happened. There was a famous one in Vegas where there was a Wisconsin UNLV game where literally every single person from the state of Wisconsin came to Las Vegas and made a bet on the Badgers in that game. And the Badgers were killing them. And there was 5.5 minutes left. And somebody got into an accident outside the stadium, hit a light pole. Game canceled with 5.5 left. All wagers refunded. I was in the Stardust Sportsbook last night. I thought there was going to be a riot with angry Badgers fans. They were not amused by the game being canceled with 5.5 minutes left.
Love it, man. Houston rolls into Detroit. Peacock gaining some steam on Monday, Teddy. No Altuve, no problem, as Houston put up, I believe, I want to say a 15 spot yesterday in their game. Astros, Tigers today, plus 145, total of 8.5. Peacock versus Boyd on the mound.
Yeah, I'm surprised we're seeing money coming against Boyd. He's been a very popular starter in the betting markets early on. And plus, Jose Altuve is not going to play tonight. He went on the injured list with a hamstring strain. So, Boyd, who's been really good, what's he have? 7 straight quality starts. But yes, the Astros put up a 15 spot yesterday. And yes, Brad Peacock pitched brilliantly. 7 shutout innings, striking out 12 last time out. He said he was going to pitch out of a full delivery for the first time in 3 seasons, and it paid off. Quote, "What I was doing wasn't working too well, and I had to make a change. I felt really good last Wednesday. I felt like I was able to get some rhythm out there and throw my stuff for strikes." So Peacock may have figured something out. The markets certainly think that he has, with all the early money coming on the Astros.
Barrios line dropping here on early Monday, Teddy. About a 160 in the markets there. Now sitting around a 130 range, total of 8.5. Skaggs versus Barrios. Last time Skaggs was out against the Detroit Tigers, I thought he would have a comparable start there. Cold, windy conditions blowing in Detroit. Skaggs got lit up in that game. We'll see if he can rebound in this one. But certainly the markets think he is due for a rebound here, Teddy.
Yeah, and some of it's Nelson Cruz. Nelson Cruz, who said, 7 home runs, 9 doubles, 22 ribbies. He's been pretty good for Minnesota. He's going to go in an MRI today, likely to be missing. Quote, "Hopefully it's nothing too bad. It's something I've been dealing with. Today was more painful." He's got a sore left wrist. So Cruz's bat being out of the lineup against Skaggs, something that the markets are paying attention to. And, of course, Skaggs is a guy that I said last time, I'm surprised the money's coming against him. Well, this time the money's coming back on him, and the markets have had him right. They got him right last time when they faded him, and we'll see what happens for this one. But Barreo's not a guy that I'm real in any hurry to bet against. Quote, I know I have big goals. I know I have to work every day. Every start is God's reason for me. It's the way I was pitching at Toronto in his last start where he dominated. That's the way I want to keep pitching for the rest of the season. Worth noting, Minnesota 11-2 off a loss so far this season, even though the money coming the other way.
Watch what you bet here on That Betting Show. For 3 straight weeks, we've led with NBA action, triple headers, double headers, no NBA action. Tonight, we'll flip it right over to the Diamond and head to the Northeast. Ted, it's going to be the Brewers and the Phillies on ESPN. And again, from the Northeast here, you're going to be looking at temperatures steady between 45 and 50 degrees at first pitch and dipping. Wind at Citizens Bank Ballpark due to be blowing in. I mean, not, hurricane-type winds, 5-6 miles an hour, so not that much. Nola has bounced back. He's going to be on the mound tonight. But if we take a look at some of the options here at SBRodds.com, Pinnacle, -140, Chris, -145. That's down, Teddy, from around -160. Now, also keep in mind, if you watched last night, the Brewers were on the road on Sunday Night Baseball, now traveling into Philadelphia. We'll see if that plays a part tonight.
Yeah, that's never a good spot. The teams want that extra time on Sunday, and the team has got to play Sunday night and then travel. Tends to be at a disadvantage, and you tend to see money coming against those squads. Of course, the way Aaron Nola's pitching of late, no surprise. If we see money for Philadelphia here, his last 4 starts, Nola's been dominant. 26 strikeouts. 2.25 ERA. He's given up 1 run in each of his last 3. Last time out, quote, it's definitely the best I felt all year with all my pitches. I was throwing quality pitches as the game went on. I was getting ahead more. I was getting first pitch strikes more. All that being said, for as well as Nola's pitched, the guy's been an over machine this season. The bullpen behind him, the lineup's been good. The bullpen behind him's been bad, and the lineup's been good when he's pitching. Phillies found a way. They had a real bad game on Friday night in Kansas City. They were lifeless. Came back, took the last 2 games of that series, and won yesterday, put up a bunch of runs without hitting homers. Gabe Kapler, quote, sometimes we're going to go stretches without hitting the ball out of the ballpark. During these stretches, we can still take our walks and keep the line moving. That's what we've done. There's signs right now for Philly coming around. And, of course, Milwaukee, well, they could be without Ryan Braun again this evening. He's missed the last 2 games, able to pinch hit. But, his quote, he's got a hamstring issue. Obviously, I have to get to the point where I don't feel it grabbing when I'm jogging, so I can just get out there and sprint. Doesn't look like Braun is going to play. 8 home runs, 23 RBIs so far this season.
Yeah, Teddy, looking at Ryan Braun, as we know, like the athletes that we used to be, at least, Teddy, not the greatest conditions to be 45 degrees, a little bit rainy and windy on maybe a slick track for the hamstring injury. So we'll keep an eye on Ryan Braun as it goes. But how about those Pirates, Teddy? Trying to stay hot as they go out to the desert. -165, the Diamondbacks listed here at SBRodds.com. A total of 9. Pirates now 20-17 off the season. Getting as hot. Look at this. Actually, the Pittsburgh Pirates are hitting when earlier in the season you couldn't buy a hit from that lineup, but obviously getting healthy, getting these at-bats. Some of the young kids starting to produce there. Kingham versus Ray tonight out in the desert.
Yeah, and I mean, the Pirates, 6 of their last 8? 8 of their last 11? This came on the heels of an 8-game losing streak where they couldn't hit their way out of a wet paper bag, as you mentioned. But not going to be easy here against Ray in Arizona today. Robbie Ray, 55 strikeouts in 43 innings. Last start against Tampa, struck out 11 in 5.2. Quote, that's probably the best fastball command and off-speed command. That's probably the best my fastball command and off-speed command has been all year. I was able to elevate when I wanted to, and the curveball slide played really well off those pitches. Ray, when he's dealing, could be exactly the guy to cool off this hot of Pirates lineup. Kingman, Nick Kingman, 10th appearance, 2nd start of the season. He did start 15 of his 18 appearances last year, so it's not like a guy he can't go through the order multiple times, but he's not going to go through the order. They're not going to eat up 7 innings, Quote, I feel like I know my body enough and I know the game of baseball that I can hopefully manipulate a lineup enough where I can put myself in a position to go 3, 4, 5 innings if I need to. I'm not concerned about the length of my outing, which means there will be ample Pirates bullpen tonight. The Pirates bullpen, neither fresh nor trustworthy in recent weeks, despite their current hot streak.
Taking a look at the NHL, Teddy, could we have both 2-0 series? One in the Eastern Conference with the Bruins already up 2-0 on the Carolina Hurricanes. Now we look over to the Sharks, looking to take a 2-0 lead over the Blues, -136, total of 5.5. Binnington and Jones in the net tonight. A little bit of action there out in California from the SAP Center.
Yeah, sure. And again, with hockey, I can give you quotes. That's the best I can do when it comes to breaking down games. Unfortunately, probably fortunately, it's not my MO. When you talk about St. Louis, St. Louis stunk. in the opener, and all every quote out of the team was how bad we stunk. The poorest defense, a bunch of turnovers. Quote, here's forward Patrick Maroon. It's over. Just throw it out. There's nothing you can do about it. You're going to have bad games. Teams are going to play good. It was costly turnovers they capitalized on. We found ways to fix our game and elevate our game. Coach Greg Berube, quote, it was all self-inflicted. They do a good job, that team. They hound pucks and are tight on you. But it was self-inflicted on our part, turning pucks over at bad times. They're a good team. They're a hard forechecking team. Surround the puck with numbers. We didn't have the puck enough. When we did have it, we gave it back to them too easily. So, look at the quotes from the other side. Here's Joe Pavelski, Sharks captain. It was big we got the Game 1 win. We expect them to be a bit better, and we've got to be invested doing things the right way. We'd like to go up 2-0. We know they're going to be ready, come out with a good push, and their legs are going to be better. It's a lesson for us. We've got to invest early, stay with it, and try to hold on to that home ice advantage. Sharks, they've won their season opener, or their series opener, in all three series so far, following the first round and the second round Game 1 openers. They lost Game 2.
Look at that. Teddy and I got you covered in a worldwide of sports, adding a little bit of hockey talk here. But let's get back to the NBA, off the mic section. Both conference finals are ready to get started up here, Teddy. Look, I was surprised. We haven't talked about the other Game 7, which was on Friday night, which the Houston Rockets taking a loss on their home court without Kevin Durant or Boogie Cousins. I had a little ticket in my back pocket, was looking forward to Game 7, maybe some hedging opportunities, just letting it roll with the Rockets. Not the case. Golden State shows their mettle moving on here. Now, we take a look at some series prices here, Teddy. Hefty favorite. Golden State Warriors -500, Trailblazers +385. And if we even take a look at that, not even sure if Kevin Durant's even going to come back for this series, but it looks like Boogie Cousins possibly as well. Milwaukee Bucks -250, Raptors 205. If we're taking a look at both of these series, Teddy, obviously you're getting nice prices on the underdog, but who truly has a shot in one of these?
Well, let's start with this. All the early money's coming the favorites. The -500 in the Warriors are disappearing quickly. The prevailing line moving towards -550. The Bucks, the -250s, they're pretty much gone right now. I'm seeing -280s, -290s, -$3. And frankly, I don't want either underdog in this series. The Bucks are better than the Raptors. The Warriors are better than the Blazers. And I'm not going to bet on an injury or multiple injuries for the favorites in these series. So I don't want the dogs. It's going to be chalk. It's going to be 1 seed versus 1 seed. Watch and see. At least that's my take. If you're saying which dog is more likely, well, the Raptors. The markets say the Raptors are better. And certainly when we talk about Golden State, even without Durant and even without Boogie's never been a factor for that team. But when you've been to the finals each of the last, 4 years running, 5 years running? How many has been for Golden State now? 4 years running. You certainly are not they're not a team I'm looking to fade against a team like Portland in a series like this. So it would have to be Raptors or pass for me. You're saying which of the two dogs might be live? I don't think either one is. But Toronto, more likely the two to be able to pull the upset.
Teddy, NBA Network's probably not trying to fade these series. It's got a pretty good idea that they're rooting for the Golden State Warriors and the Milwaukee Bucks to show up in the NBA Finals to get those ratings. The one thing we never have to worry about, Teddy, is ratings right here on That Betting Show for May 13th, 2019. Your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. Tomorrow, we'll jump right back into that NBA ticket. He's Teddy Safransky. Give him a follow once again on Twitter at Teddy_covers. I'm Donnie Seymour, right side VP. We'll be back tomorrow. Good luck on your games tonight.